As I already hinted in week 1, exploring heterogeneity or conducting a moderator analysis may not only help to target your policy to those subgroups where the treatment is most effective, but it may also help you to understand the mechanisms that are at work. So basically what you do, you see how the strength of the treatment effect varies with some pre-treatment condition, alternatively called a moderator, and that moderator is then related to a specific mechanism. So for instance, going back to the example on screen activity, if you believe that social media use is an important driver of the effect of screen activity at night on sleep quality, then you may want to explore heterogeneity by age. If you believe that social media use is higher among the young than among the old. So in that case, the strength of this effect is moderated by age. So then age is a proxy for your mediator. So a moderator is a proxy for a mediator, but do remember from week 1 that you will have to be careful because age stands for more than social media use alone, obviously. And so young people may be more active social media users, but they may have a lot of other characteristics as well. So finding a clear effect of this moderator is a finding that you will have to interpret carefully. Then finally, falsification tests are also a way of learning about mechanisms. To falsify means to prove something to be false. Remember that you can use falsification tests, for instance, within the context of a regression discontinuity design. We should only see a discrete change, a discontinuity at the threshold value of the running variable and not on other variables. So we can actually do a falsification test. You can see whether indeed we do not find a discontinuity at other for other characteristics. Similarly, if we believe that there is that a specific mechanism is at work, then we should not see an effect on a certain outcome. An example is a topic that a lot of economists spend a lot of time on, peer effects. The idea that your behavior affects the behavior of the people around you and the other way around. So then social contagion is the supposed mechanism. There are quite a few studies showing the presence of peer effects, for instance, on outcomes like obesity, smoking, alcohol use, and happiness. So the social diagram looks as follows. There's the hypothesized mediator, social contagion, for instance, in the form of peer pressure. So because of this mediator, being in a common environment, being among peers, leads to similarity in behavior. But then Cole and Fletcher conducted a nice falsification test. They said that if this is indeed the mechanism that is at work, then we should not see an effect on outcomes that we know for which we know that they cannot be driven by this mechanism, like having acne or not, or your height, right? So they used similar data, similar research designs, and after they conducted this falsification test, they actually found out that those methods also had an effect on those outcomes. So the falsification test showed that there's something horribly wrong in those earlier findings. So peer effects may not be at work at all. What may be behind the observed similarity in behavior may not be social contagion, so mutual influence of behaviors, but it may be that people self-select themselves into groups based on certain characteristics. For instance, the party types, they tend to self-select into groups, and as a result you see youngsters using a lot of alcohol, not because there's all kinds of peer pressure, but just because they share a common characteristic. Alright, so what did we learn this week? Without a firm understanding of the mechanisms that are at work, then you may well prescribe the wrong policy, as Sir Robert Falcon Scott found out. And so that's the first lesson. The second is that if you want to know how your treatment is going to affect a policy, why don't you draw how your treatment affects a certain outcome, why don't you draw a causal diagram? And once you do so, make sure that you make a clear distinction between confounders, moderators, mediators, and colliders. If you do include mediators, then don't forget to also include the direct effect of the treatment on the outcome, which reflects all of the mechanisms that you may not be aware of or that you simply do not include in your study. If you believe that a certain policy affects outcomes by way of a specific mediator, then why not conduct a mechanism experiment rather than a policy experiment instead, because that's a valuable screen and it can also be a lot cheaper. In addition, you may also want to explore mechanisms by way of moderation analysis / exploring heterogeneity, by way of falsification tests, and under very strict conditions, mediation analysis.